at the second opener, well, the opening, not the opening batsman, but he would have been
third down.
Third down.
Yeah.
And he was also batting with Kamaraj.
Yes.
Right. So we looked at the Minister of Labour, and to some extent we'll be looking at Kamaraj and his position today also. But we will be following up to a large extent on what happened yesterday, because as you know, we celebrate Labour Day yesterday, and a lot was said at the Labour Day celebration, for which we want to also comment on in some way. Right, so today I welcome you. I am Stephen Matheson, and with me is Ronaldo Roddox and Selvon Mitchell. So, guys, how are we going to review this today?
Well, good afternoon to the listeners of Trinidad and Tobago, and you know, it's a holiday, public holiday weekend, and as you did indicate, there was a little exhibition match down Faizabad yesterday. And the captain was present, some major members of the team, and there was a lot said yesterday, and we really have to analyze some of what was said, try to decipher some of the context and some of the meanings, the hidden meanings. You know, it is interesting in the theme song, my Lord related with Gavaskar, where he was telling us how much things that beyond the boundary affected the game with holder and everything. So we understand that in this game there are a lot of things that we don't see.
External factors.
External factors that affect the cricketers on the pitch.
Yeah, rain might fall.
You understand?
Man might have a child.
Correct.
Man might have a child.
It's like you going out for duck and go home.
You know, at the end of the day we're dealing with human beings, you know? So, yes, indeed, you know, there was a little exhibition match down Faizabad, tradition, as usual, you know, good or bad, and it has its place in our history. And I think it's right and fitting that we pay homage to it. But with the view, as third umpires do, re-examining all that was said, promised, not said, all that was meant, some of the signals that were made, some of the gestures, some of the implications of the discussion down Faizabad yesterday. A great showing of strength by the trade unions who, as the batting team, as members of the batting team, feel to be very up. They're very up. They feel that the runs on the board are achievable, that they can surpass that score by the other team, and do so with great success. And
the batsman in office looked like he starts score. Well, the way he poised himself so far, it looked like he's going to score some runs.
Yes, a few strokes he made so far.
Yeah, he's going to score some runs. And how he played the ball from the beginning yesterday, it looked like he could score some runs.
Yes, you know.
You had to look to see how all those runs.
So you really believe he could create a balance?
Well,
because you have to see if the government is being pro-labor or pro-commerce and so forth. It's how you balance it now, you know, because although you might show a strength in a certain environment, your next group watching you, you know, to see, well, you have to balance it both sides, you know. Really, so I want to see when the conversation is with the other side, how it will be now. Now you're with Labour, you say a particular thing. But when you as Minister of Labour invited to do a presentation to the Chamber want to see you, want to talk, well, what is the expectation we have, Labour have in mind for us now? I want to see how that tone will be now. And you have to be mindful when you an executive or you're a batsman, how you create balance all the time. Remember, we said yesterday, you know, you had to be in the center to create an enabling environment for all parties to coexist. So it's not a matter of strengthening one side, weakening one side, you know, but also informing the side that is outside there on your labor side now, that you all have a responsibility. Yes, in getting a fair share of the pie, but also producing or giving back that which is expected for those who are rewarding you and so forth. And it must be fair. And we must tell people that it's not that, okay, because I labor, you only get all you want. It's not a matter of get no free sheet or free card. We must be mindful of that. And that the balance here, yes, we'll create an enabling environment as a batsman. Yeah, I'll put some runs on the board, make it easier for everybody to come on after me and so forth. Make sure that the score we have to pass is not a difficult score to maintain, but once I'm in the wicket, we get closer and closer to surpassing that score of the previous side that was in the wicket and so forth. But it's a balancing act. The question is, how you'll measure it is when you're speaking with the other side of that paradigm. You're speaking with Labour, or you're speaking with capital or commerce now. How that conversation will be and what the words uttered will be saying to them and to the country as a whole.
But I read carefully what the Minister of Labour said yesterday, and why I said that he probably had some runs on the board. I mean, the stroke he seems to be mirroring looks like his run strokes, right? Because he talked a lot of the things that we spoke about here yesterday.
That he was listening to
right?
us, of course.
I don't know if he was listening to us, but he talked a lot about a lot of the things we spoke about yesterday.
Yeah.
And to me, that, in my mind, that is critical. As an expert in employment law and that kind of thing.
Give me like two things, for example, that he spoke about.
Well, he spoke about the legislation and the review of it and why it should be modernized. And to me, that is important.
Yeah, it's important.
And
Very
remember,
important.
I did say that is probably one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Right? And then he spoke to some extent about, he alluded to the need for productivity and that kind of thing. And that too is another thing that that is very, very important. So it falls into what your review of his strokes should look like.
Yeah.
And as we discussed yesterday, he did also make mention of the review and modernization of the Industrial Relations Act.
Excellent.
He did say that. He talked about working with trade union leadership to formalize a collaborative approach that will result in an economy characterized by high productivity, sustainable growth, and fair treatment of workers. He mentioned words about cooperation and synergy. So the signals are there that he is making the right
conversation with Labour he had then. So he had the right conversation with
You're on
Labour.
the right track.
The right track.
He probably read me very early in the game because I did talk about
You always talk about
I
that.
wrote about that sometime on Facebook some weeks ago. And to me is very, very critical.
Striking a good balance.
In formulating a strategy for development or moving Trinidad and Tobago to the next level in terms of the workers' agenda or that kind of thing.
Good.
So Ronaldo, what is your take on the Prime Minister's position? Because she's the leader, she's the
Captain of the team, yes.
And she will have.
The captain was in ripping form yesterday. The captain spared no words yesterday. The captain opened with a dynamic headline, and we're talking about for our listeners as captured by the Express, because we were not there. We were here, so we're taking the Express. The captain will speak for herself at any time she decides to visit and have a chat with us and the nation.
She always won.
Yes.
I got a snippet. Somebody sent me a snippet.
She doesn't belong to the 1%. She's part of the 99, and that's good news.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. I know who is 1%. I really don't know who is that.
Let me just say this. I know plenty of them when they now come in offices belong there, I say that, but before by the third year,
4 more years to go.
The union trying to mash them up.
4 more years to go.
She talked about the committee commission to explore the strategies for the reopening of the former Petrotrin. Again, an election promise, and she's making her way, but this time she's taking it very slow, and I noticed that. A committee to explore the strategies. She said she'll be meeting with Mr. Roger in 10 days, and in the interim and in 2 months they'll get a report from Labour and from the experts. They have to go in and assess what was there before moving forward. So the captain outlined a very slow but progressive approach. This is not a rush thing. This is not a come one, come all. And I think that's highly commendable because I know the pressure the captain will be under to deliver.
I want to say this. There are many in society today who believe that that refinery thing is really pie in the sky. That can happen without massive investment. There are those who believe that. But I like to look at the outfield. And I am looking at the broader geopolitics. What's happening even in the last week in Iran. And the fact that what Trump is threatening to do, albeit I don't feel he will do it, but what he's threatening to do, he might do it clandestinely, he might do it through plausible deniability,
yeah.
right? But he may not do it directly, so it will have which could bring about the effect that we think could be brought about if he just go and bomb Iran. Because only the US have the weapons, the kind of bunker busting bombs to drill through that tunnel, not tunnel, but that underground nuclear facility that Iran was developing. That went down some 300 meters or something like that. But Iran does have there's a great potential that if Iran do what we think they may do, that we will have some it will have serious consequences on at least about 25% of the oil and that kind of thing that passes through that area, right? As a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz, that area in particular will be affected. And therefore, this situation with the oil refinery will become an oil refinery will become a critical imperative, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah? In the first place, you know, my advocacy was never to shut it down. I know why it was shut down. If you want to sell it, why it wasn't sold as a going concern, why partners, there are so much other strategies that could have been employed instead of shutting it down. This is going 9 years now, you know. And the longer we delay in terms of kicking it off again, it is more costly as we say longer and longer to start it up and so forth. But it is an imperative that we must start back the refinery in our best interest and our survival interest. Let me tell you something. All our fuels we import into Trinidad and Tobago. So when oil prices go up, we might say we make some money with exporting a little 40,000 barrel of crude. But remember, we have to pay more for fuel coming in the country too. That price going up also. So diesel, kerosene, that we use aviation fuel and so forth, plus gasoline also goes up. Are we generating enough foreign exchange, to match that increase, that possible increase that would take place if those fellas in the Middle East start to go crazy? And that's the precarious position this country is in right now, you know. We know the Caribbean, but I want to deal with Trinidad. That we are so dependent on importation that we never look, and we probably later on when we're dealing with trade, we talk diversification and so forth. It's something we talk because it sounds sweet and so forth, but we never do anything about it. But our survival in terms of moving around, commerce, industry, is so dependent upon fuel. I could have never understood why we shut down. There are so much other ways to transform. Petrotrain inside, they have about 14 or 15 different plants, you know. You know, they shut down all. You know what I'm saying? But, if people understand the industry.
But Roger also spoke about 5,000 workers on the breadline as a result of that. And I was wondering if we needed 5,000 people to run a refinery.
No, well, we had to define it. I don't know.
Because from what I heard, I don't know what it looked like to me, that the Petrotrain was a kind of big URP too, you know. Meaning persons
there was 2 HR report done on Petrotrain, what I understand, yeah? that was commissioned and how much millions we pay for it. And those recommendations was just to realign the workforce to make the company productive in one way or the other.
So you had a lot of people going in there by politicians sending them to work,
and so forth. Yeah.
They didn't really have the real competencies and that kind of thing. But
that's right. So, but
of
that
course,
could have been realigned. But when put it that way, there was no reason to shut down the refinery.
No, that was not reason.
It was
to
not
shut down the
reason.
refinery. And I'm sure.
So labor have to look at how, as he talk productivity again, that we do not create a dude program out of our industries, be it TSTT, be it TNTech, be it WASA, be it any state organization. Let it not be understood at the parliament where they say 2,400 workers was had in HGC before the election and so forth. Those irresponsible moves, yeah? Minister of Labor have to make sure it is productivity, is measured employment for output and so forth.
Correct.
That is critical on the agenda for the
We
Minister
talk
of
that
Labor.
all the time. And we spoke about that, a lot about that yesterday in terms of measuring performance and that kind of thing. What's your take?
Well, guys, have no fear. The good news is here. Labor is in power. Labor is in the house. Labor is in parliament. Those are quotes from the captain's, I would say, missiles yesterday at the Labor Day.
The salvo.
Yes.
Okay.
The captain evidenced the presence of labor by Mr. MP Ernesto Kiza, Mr. Clyde MP again, Clyde Elder, and Mr. Leroy Baptiste. She referenced the 4% given to workers and obviously the recommendations of the commission that gave the parliamentarians and etc. their increase. She also revealed that all of this happened or took place in the context on 2.5 years of consultation with the trade union. So it wasn't an overnight job. It wasn't an overnight, as we would say, relationship of convenience. She hinted to the fact that over 2.5 years she'd been talking with the trade union movement to the effect that, she would like to see some changes, and they both agreed. And she promised that labor persons will be on state boards, all state boards. Insofar as can be, she will put labor on all state boards. She has already started to do it, and she is continuing to do it. She talked about, Mr. Roger, he too had a lot of things to say. It's workers' time now, he says. It is workers' time.
What that mean?
I don't know what that means.
We have to find out. We need to have him here. He talked about the poor, disadvantaged, dispossessed, unemployed masses, the ordinary working men. He gave a very class ideology speech, obviously. That we can all are working class because we know about Marx and class consciousness and people who don't see themselves as working class.
Yeah.
So he appealed to those people. I am you and you are me. That kind of a rhetoric he was talking. And then obviously boasting about the election results of 2025. And we may have mixed feelings about this boast, but everybody had a day on the stage. And this is their day, and I don't think we should rain on their parade. He talked about the legislative action of the government so far, with the repeal of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act, the halting of the restructuring of WASA, and the regularization of hundreds of long service auxiliary fire officers who have been absolved. And
excellent.
I think
Excellent.
these things are commendable.
Nice.
These things are commendable.
Yeah.
I mean,
the button.
Glove
zone.
Yes.
Bad zone.
He talked about the underfunding of the OSH authority by the state, by the last team, as a deliberate tactic. And we know the implications of that. He talked about the underfunding of the industrial court and the proliferation of short-term contracts with no benefits.
You talk about that yesterday.
Good? We talked about that.
Yes.
He talked about the state or the government that the last team using OSH injunctions against OSH protests, right? And again, he made reference to the 47% versus the 4% of the Salary Reviews Commission, you know. And he talked about, he referenced Petrotrin workers who died subsequent to the closure of Petrotrin, because the closure meant the cessation of their medical plans, because the company was now defunct. And again, making reference to the workers' agenda, 10% wage increase. So we hear from the captain and from the supporters of the team that the 10% is still on the board. I think that is a good thing. We will need to see the metrics of it and how it pans out. But nobody in backing back on their word.
Realignment of expenditure, I did possible.
But I think she did say something like the budget, the
mid-year review?
After the mid-year review, they were going to be looking at some variations, which should take care of that. But obviously they may have to borrow to cover that.
So he continued to talk about the consolidation of COLA, the end of contract labor in the public sector and state enterprise, things we mentioned yesterday, and we weren't there. So we weren't saying. We weren't saying.
We aligned,
We wasn't there, and we say all them things.
And the simplification of the trade union recognition process. We talked about
that also.
We talked about the bureaucracy involved in that as well. Down at the exhibition match as well, we had the PSA head, Miss Felicia Thomas. You know, and according to the report, she talked about the September-October budget being the time in which the government should be able to give more meaningful on their 10%.
Remember the mid-year review to a large extent, the government coming into office, right? Remember the state who prepares to a large extent that review, and this team now coming into office. In 1 month you can really prepare it, you know, so a lot of what was said, most of it was prepared already, So their real innings in terms of delivery and offering will be in this October budget that is coming up here. Excellent.
So she thanked the public servants for sticking with the plan and said that the UNC and the labor movement share a symbiotic relationship. Nice words if you believe in love and relationships. Symbiotic relationship. Would we like to hear that? You know, from our partner, that we have a symbiotic. And very interestingly, team, fellow empires, we can't leave out Miss Beckles. Miss Beckles had things to say too, to the media. She said that the PNM will restore and strengthen its relationship with labor.
No, is that comedy show we have?
No, don't leave them out. You know, relationships just have breakup. And she admit that. You know, a little breakup took place. But they will repair, restore, and strengthen. She talked about her father, Lionel Beckles, being a former leader in the OWTU. So she's of trade union stock. Vintage. So she's not to be left out. So this relationship, it has somebody else in this relationship. Don't leave them now.
No, but this captain really say, when this captain win, everybody wins, and they didn't leave out anybody. So I think the door is open. The captain leave the door open for people to come across, come and join the team as the case may be. I'm of that opinion.
Well, Ms. Beckles say they're going to restore this love relationship.
No, I like everything that was said yesterday. Nice, lofty ideas, and you know, good things that should have been said before. And I'm sure it was said before on many occasions with other governments before.
We are the measure delivery now.
We know we are the umpires, and we know how that ball has to be bowled. All too well, we know it good. As experts in our own rights.
Good intentions.
And it will be interesting to see how that particular ball will be bowling in terms of labor, how he will bat.
Well, we see the stance. So he positioned well, he's behind the line, you know, one foot is in front, he behind, he's poised nice.
But as you was...
The ball coming now.
As you was alluding before, earlier on, it is not a one-sided thing.
Exactly so.
Because labor And Ronaldo, you and I spoke about something some time ago.
Yes.
About that 10%.
Yes.
What Labour, what the Labour they talking about, J-Tom or whoever,
Yeah.
represents.
Yeah.
They don't represent 90% of the trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago. They just
Of the
represent
working class.
Of the workers.
of the working class. They
Yeah.
just represent 10%
10%
of
of
it.
union members. Yes.
Union members.
Yeah.
You have I don't want to say a proliferation, but you have a whole set of trade unions you don't hear about. But they represent the underlying workers to a large extent. We ain't hear them talking about them kind of
without
them
RMUs, yes.
Right? Without RMUs. So that is another concern.
And well, you see, what is very interesting now, Labour come like the sweet man now, you know. Because if all you understand that Labour is already involved and committed with their partner. But Ms. Beckles say the PNM will not be left out of this relationship. The PNM want back in. The PNM is going to fight to get back in that groove with Labour. Will Labour stay faithful?
Yeah.
Or will Labour flirt on the side? What has been the history of Labour with that is concerned? Because, in case you forget, we've been here already. Eh?
With the sticky wicket that we on with the economy.
Correct.
That will be a real kind of delicate dance.
Yes.
That will be a real delicate dance
yeah.
because before, I tell you, I mean, I've heard this kind of thing before when governments get in office.
Yeah, did Labour not dance with
and then at the end of the
Mr.
day,
Lowley?
before the end, you have a breakup.
Well, all is fair in love and war.
They're going back Faizabad again.
All is fair in love and
They can't
war.
go back Faizabad. All that kind of thing. So, I mean, let us see. Let's see how the dance.
Yeah.
Correct.
How the dance in the
I agree.
wicket.
Well, the reasonable man test will say this. The captain said these conversations were taking place 2 years now. 2
Yes.
years.
Yes.
And I doubt it was
That's a long
conversation
courtship
that,
period.
that was void of context and body. Right? And I would like to think they have a platform in which they plan to go forward on.
Well, Mr. Selvon, you are senior to both of us.
How
2 years
Yes.
is a good relationship footing. 2 years of courtship.
Well, it's how you was courting, you know.
All right.
I could just basically pick you up home, we go in a fit and I drop you back home, and we had no conversation of substance.
Well, she
you know.
said they had constant dialogue and consultation, a word always used in the act. Even the act, we sometimes that's not even defined. What is consultation as far as the act is concerned, the Industrial Relations Act? But she did say they've been courting each other. This is not a now-come relationship. What we're seeing here is 2.5 years in the making.
Yeah.
But we spoke yesterday. We hinted yesterday a lot about the kind of changes that is required to be made in the Industrial Relations Act.
Yeah.
And he said the minister said that the Industrial Relations Act will be the act that he will want to start with.
Yes.
Because that is the overarching act for employment relationships in Trinidad and Tobago. And we spoke a lot about that. But when you marry what he said with the unions, and we know the unions he talking about is the trade unions under
The
JTUM
umbrella.
and
Yeah,
the umbrella,
the umbrella, yeah.
and not the 90% of the unions that really represent workers in Trinidad and Tobago,
Yeah.
because they have a particular, there's a particular part of that act that affects that 90%,
Yeah.
but don't really affect that 10% that the minister
that
talking
is where
about.
the minister comes into play. And he had to protect that 90% now.
And that is why I would want to advocate that particular part that we talk about, with the recognition and certification board, be addressed early,
on the agenda.
because a lot of workers, the same workers you're talking about, are disenfranchised by that.
Well, gentlemen, the ECA had something to say too. The
Lord,
ECA called for a new social contract to build a decent workforce. They said overlapping disruptions have become the defining feature of our time. Disruptions. So I think they're hinting to productivity in the workplace. They said there needs to be a call to commit to dialogue, collaborations, a revival of the National Tripartite Advisory Council, NTAC.
We had all those things.
ECA sees that as pivotal. reskilling, retooling, skills anticipation, artificial intelligence, automation, climate change, occupational health and safety, remote and hybrid work.
Now, to me, what the ECA is saying more closely resembles what should be happening.
Yeah.
Because that really and truly, and the ECA, to be honest, they would more represent the interests of capital.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? But what they are saying is what going to assist in fostering that with the right kind of framework, legislative framework, to allow for those kind of things that they're talking about there. That to me is so important for the engendering productivity in the workplace and the society and that kind of thing. And I think that should be great attention should be paid to that in the legislative review and legislative agenda of Trinidad and Tobago Labour.
Well, they end the discussion by saying social justice can only be achieved through systems that enable both employers and workers to succeed.
Exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
Which
Agreed.
we have no problem.
We spoke a hell of a lot about that yesterday.
And to be fair to everybody involved, this is old news. We've heard these things
we
before.
talk about this every day in the
Good.
office.
But dancing and playing in the wicket is different from all the theories about what we should do when we go there.
From the minister himself, the new minister.
And hold him to account it now.
Correct.
You have a reference point.
So everybody seems to be talking about collaboration.
I remember a couple of years ago, sometime in 2016, somewhere there, I went to a consultation where Jennifer Batiste was talking about the review of the Industrial Relations Act. Big consultation on that.
That was in Cipriani.
In Cipriani College,
Yes,
and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
So is this a relationship of promises?
And that was 10 years. They had 10 years in office.
This guy from OWT was there. They wanted to be the education officer.
Yeah, they bat,
Ozzy Warren.
Mr.
Mr.
He contributed to it too. Yes.
Yeah. Even this judge now, Cabrera, all of them was there.
But you see,
he's a judge now.
What ECA speaks there, and what the minister have to do in batting, he have to ensure, and this is critical, he had to create balance, balance in terms of, I keep using the word enabling environment, for example. Strengthening of OSHA, they talk about that, and for some reason, we never see him as a government or an executive to play much importance of protecting workers on the job, There's so much discrimination against workers by employers in terms of poor tools and equipment and so forth, substandard working conditions and so forth, that I wonder where's the oversight? Who that the 90% I'm talking about that doesn't have a union and a branch board to go and complain and so forth. And this is where the minister comes in and say, look, I am putting an umbrella to protect that vulnerable 90% in terms of legislation. OSHA is supposed to be out visiting and inspecting. There must be standard for the working, for the work side, for the job environment and so forth. There must be, and there must be somebody to hold employers accountable.
Well, to a large extent, and whoever said it, to a large extent, OSHA is underfunded.
Undermanned, under everything. Underwater.
Yeah, under-resourced everything.
Yes,
because even that, I thought OSHA should have played a huge role in that situation.
It's supposed to be in front of it.
Divers that drowned.
In front of it. OSHA is supposed to be in front. Because, anybody who do any little OSHA course and will understand in those environments, there are certain prerequisites and toolbox meeting that takes place before you start, to ensure. And there's a checklist to go through. So when you say the worker went down, and I trying to figure out, well, and I know that industry have those procedures.
Yeah, okay,
I deal with store certification, I deal with HSE certification and so forth. I try to figure out, well, how a mistake like that could be made in an industry that perpetuate, or live on HSE.
And standards.
And standards and so forth. No.
But guys,
go ahead.
Let us not forget that we have listeners who can call in.
And we only 2 hours today.
And we are only 2 hours today. And the number to call us, to engage us, the umpires, 342-0081, 466-5391, and 771-1791. Those are the numbers that you can call the umpires, and you can engage us in your take on our discussion.
And you know, some of the callers up to yesterday were very pessimistic about this relationship. They said, can't work, somebody will get home.
Because of history. Because
somebody will leave.
Yeah,
somebody will be abused.
Yeah.
Somebody go take the bat and hit her.
Somewhere they cited domestic abuse. You understand? They ain't see this relationship lasting, this marriage ain't gonna last. You understand? But I also contend that Labour could ill afford to be left out. Because you know,
play a pivotal role in success.
You're outside of it, you're backing, you don't have any say.
Yeah.
So some relationships, as we know in life, sometimes become relationships of necessity.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
Because you can't want to. I was listening, and I'll make a comment here. Because while all of this was going on yesterday with the exhibition and the captain, a certain trade union had its own little pocket meeting talking about why they should never be involved in politics, and we don't support politicians. Tutor, their stand was that they are apolitical, and they remain apolitical.
Well, they, in my opinion, stand firm to the vision or the separation of powers in my view in the relationship. Although you should have some kind of relationship, but really and truly, the industrial relationship is made up of government, workers and their representative, and capital.
Yeah.
And in this case, we are seeing capital and government. If you're talking about government workers and union
And Labour,
Labour in the same boat, singing together, tied together. Now, what happens when there are disagreements?
What happens in any relationship when it have a disagreement?
So that probably might be the you will have groupthink in them kind of relationship,
but then you
and
go
that's
for
probably the
counseling.
concern.
Then you go for counseling.
Yeah,
Don't break it up. Go for counseling.
No, when I say groupthink to the detriment of the unions, because if we sit down and caucus and say, well, this is what we're doing, but the workers already agree with that.
But you see, I think I disagree. I think our ideology is wrong. Right? And you want to. I read a lot about Bess, you know, and look at it. Let's break it down from a logical point of view. If politics is the allocation of power and resources, and a union that represents government workers, state workers, where is policy? Who makes the policy? They say it.
Yeah, so you feel that it might be better to be in with them
all over, but all over the
things.
world it is true.
Right.
It is not just us.
So then
look at the AFT.
So then what's Suter's problem then?
Look at, because they narrow politics to representational politics and elections. By the end of the day, the minister is in charge of policy. Would you not want favorable outcomes from the minister?
Influence policy to some extent.
How do you influence policy by staying out of politics? That is a very ignorant statement.
If we go at efficiency, and we look at efficiency and to show you how workers must be involved, every efficiency methodology in workplace have total inclusion of the worker, from the cleaners you mentioned yesterday to the CEO, you know. Once you have to create any levels of efficiency or productivity, all have to have buy-in and understand the vision, you know. So it's not management vision and a talk down, you know. It's a balance with roles and responsibility.
If you measure a company using whatever measure and balance scorecard or whatever.
And it does not mean that you will always agree, like in any relationship. But you don't avoid relationships because you and the person might disagree. That doesn't make any sense. Worse yet, you represent the state.
As I tell somebody, you wouldn't say I'm not buying a car because I might get in an accident.
That's foolish. How else will you affect policy for your workers. Look at the AFT, look at the American Federation of Teachers, look at teachers in Japan, look at teachers in England. They come out straight and say, we supporting the party whose agenda matches our workers. No hiding. Simple. That is right.
Simple.
It is trite.
Yeah.
I think what we mix up that with is being partisan, good, and being clandestine, and trying to play one against the other, which sometimes is part of politics too. But you need to influence policy for your workers.
Yes, and
you
have
need
to be inside of it.
You have to be in the belly of it. You want to be outside the meeting, you don't know what's happening inside. When they come out and tell you what went on inside,
I think we're so accustomed with the perceived unreasonableness.
Correct.
Yeah, historical, perceived.
Yes.
I know the unreasonableness, I will say, them fellas, they go want this and they want that. But if I'm selling even that here, if workers are inside of it and understand, as I understood while I was in the trade union movement because of my training, to understand the conversation on both sides of the table, then your contribution will be different when you understand it. But if you don't understand, if I don't understand what you're saying, how could we have a meaningful dialogue? And I don't understand what you're talking about.
And Stephen, put that in the context of which union was first to sign for the last offer from the last team.
Well, it was Utah.
Look how that panned out.
So when you say that, that was the first thing I thought about. I don't know if
Look how that pans out.
I don't know.
Look how that pans out.
If it's a political thing,
But you claim to be apolitical.
Yeah, you claim to be apolitical.
You claim to be apolitical.
But you're signing now, you're saying you don't want to align with the government.
But you're saying that in Faizabad. You saying that in Faizabad, you go on the march and you make a left turn, and you have a little meeting, and you're trying to drum up support for some. So I don't know if it's retroactively for not being involved, but I disagree with everyone who believes Labour should not have a seat at the table. I believe they should have a seat at the table.
Of course,
you must contribute.
Must. We talk that all the time.
Yes.
Labour should always have a
How they dance, according to you, is different, because we know it's a dance. It's compromise. You don't get everything you want to. Hopefully you have the morale in you not to go and lie to your workers. Good. Because you alone going and negotiate and you're coming back to tell your workers something different. We see that. You understand? So it is to me it's quite ignorant to say that. And you hear even common people, you know, saying that we're not involved in politics. But let the government make a decision against the company you're working in, whether you're working for the corporation. You say they're wicked and bad. Why is so? You understand?
See, we have a history of governance.
Yes.
And leadership that does this. Have representation without consultation.
Yes.
So we sit here and we feel we're bright. Yeah. We know everything and we make laws and rules and so forth for somebody who really and truly far removed.
Correct.
We're on two different roles, you know, they're on them on that thing.
But that is what happened with the next team before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happened with the team before. They was just hitting.
They was on their own beat.
They was just hitting, but they don't care where the ball goes.
No.
Hit.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what was going on there.
They don't care.
But you hear it from themselves, and the implosion right now, you're hearing it from themselves. You're hearing Penny saying that people fell long on the job.
Right. And she admittedly says so. She gone astray. You know, if those of you who are more expert at relationships, you know, you go astray, you may go astray, and she is determined to restore it.
Yeah, and you know a lot of people talk
and that's
about
where you have to start.
Yesterday, talk about it yesterday.
You have to start there, and it's a hard pill to swallow. But she has openly said she wants to restore it, and the PNM will restore it. How they do it? Because this man committed to somebody else right now. He in a committed relationship. You understand?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the pavilion out there and they're listening.
They're watching
Correct.
very closely. Yes.
And they know that this is not the first time they're hearing it from the red team.
Yes.
Correct.
They hear that from the red team on 3 occasions. This is the 3rd occasion I hear it myself. Right? We will not do this again.
We love you.
We love you.
We
We
sorry.
sorry.
We will not close on Patriot Trail.
We will not close down Patriot Trail. All kind of
We will
things
not
here.
touch Wassa.
We will not overtax you. We will not
Yeah.
try to eat 3 flesh to live.
Yeah.
We will not, you know, we will try to be equitable with you. And we hear
yes,
that, but
yeah.
they went and do the same thing. It's like a scorpion.
Yeah.
Right?
I am what I am.
I am what I am.
Eventually I'll sting you.
still.
If all of we will die.
Yeah.
But I will sting you.
Yeah, so the thing is, sometimes I like that, you know.
So this relationship here, we have to monitor it. There were a lot of laudable things said yesterday.
So we're going up for the break just now, but when we come back,
Yeah.
one, we will take calls from the,
Yes.
the public.
We want to know how they feel about this
And
relationship.
Give them the
two,
number before we leave.
and
Right?
two, what we will do, remember, it's our next batsman facing, and the Minister of Labour, he only hitting sixes
Yeah.
and fours.
You have to run
So he
one,
run,
you have to
he
sing,
have to
yeah.
run,
Singles, yeah.
So we had to take into consideration the man who facing Camarage
Yeah.
and who he going and face and what is his position.
Yeah.
So
And philosophically, you might think they oppose each other because one represents more business and the other is the labor, but then they wicket
They
together.
call it complementary.
Well, then they wicket
Teacup
together.
And saucer. Teacup and saucer.
And you know, if you ain't signal the man to run, a man can get run out.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you ain't communicate good.
If you communicate properly.
So that is something we have to invite the callers to comment on, but we would probably present to them a little summary of, you know, what is our position as umpires on his batting and the wicket that he will be on.
And it will be interesting to see the faithfulness of the to the team in on the wicket. The Labour has promised to be faithful. I love you. We'll be faithful. But the red team say, I'm watching you. Red say, don't forget me, no Reds. Red say, don't forget
There's
me.
something called familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah, Reds on the boundary, only Shannon Winkai. To Labour. You understand? Labour, we love you. That's what Miss Penny says.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we take a break to pay some bills.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
TNT, get ready, get hungry, and get to the hut because it's lunchtime! From pizzas to pastas, breadsticks to cinnamon rolls, Pizza Hut's all-you-can-eat lunch buffet is all yours for only $55. Sundays to Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and extended to 4 p.m. on Sundays. Check socials for info on selected locations nationwide and take your hunger to the hut. Pizza Hut. Now that's delivering.
This summer, give your child skills of a lifetime with several boot camp. Children between the ages of 5 to 17 come enjoy Children Iron Chef competition. Your child will learn to prepare healthy breakfast, lunch, dinner, CPR, first aid, and conflict management. With field trip, your child will be given free apron and certification upon completion. Call 492-7397 or 336-4935. Institute of Health and Fitness Company Limited, located at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna.
For the month of June, registration will only be $50 to book your space, and you can pay the tuition fee before the start of camp.
Superior, we celebrating, and KFC coming through with a crunchy deal. For just $35, get 2 pieces of that golden KFC chicken and 1 regular side. Only in Superior, June 20th and 21st. So come through and taste the flavor. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
This is Roger Boynes. I am contesting for the position of General Secretary for the People's National Movement in the upcoming internal elections scheduled for June 22nd, 2025. I am a former Member of Parliament and Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs. I bring to the office of General Secretary experience, dedication to hard work, a commitment and respect for the membership who are the very backbone and foundation of this party. I'm prepared to focus on rebuilding this party with the help of all. Vote for Roger Boynes as General Secretary. Vote for a stronger PNM. Vote for a stronger nation.
Ikaro, I am Alatumishe Ifabamishe Aganki, better known as MC Duke.
And every Monday between the hours of 9 p.m. to midnight,
I host a show called Orisha, The Way of Life, right here on the Street 919 FM, where I have guests passing through from the Orisha Ifa Baptist diaspora to educate, edify, and inform you, the listening public, about Orisha Ifa practices. So remember to tune in
every Monday between the hours of 9 p.m. to midnight
for Orisha, The Way of Life.
Campari, Red Passion, embrace the mix. Campari Red Passion, embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink responsibly.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
Don't miss June savings at Furniture Plus. Get up to 50% off shop appliances, furniture, electronics, mattresses, and more. Buy now, pay later with affordable higher purchase plans. Plus, earn Caribbean Airlines. Travel miles with your purchase. Visit any Furniture Plus stores or shop online.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 to 186 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new, with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
It's election June 22nd, PNM internal elections. Vote for the people's champions, the only real change. June 22nd, PNM internal elections. Vote for the people's champions, the only real change. 22nd of June, PNM internal elections. Vote for the people's champions, the only real change.
Join the winning team with Pastor Alkaline John
every Tuesday from 11:05 a.m. to 12 noon and every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m.
live on the Street 919 FM as he talks about Lviv, the power of 5 fruits, one of the most powerful antioxidant supplements on the market today. The 5 superfruits in Lviv are mangosteen, acai, pomegranate, goji, and nuni. These fruits have a positive and profound impact on human health performance and disease. Join him as he gives live testimonials of the Lviv healing powers. To get more information, you can contact Pastor Alkaline John at 516-286-7079 or you can visit his webpage at www.alkalinejohn.com. Remember,
every Tuesday from 11:05 a.m. to 12 noon and every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m.
live on the Street 919 FM.
Whoever said Messi was a bad thing totally missed the point. Take that hit song everyone loves now. It probably started like this. Baby, calm down. That's why KFC is celebrating the Messi moments with our Messi Cruncher and Messi Zinger sandwiches for only $34.95. Imagine a crunchy, golden brown, flavorful chicken sandwich, sauced to perfection with our signature sweet, spicy, tangy sauces. Oh boy. So crunch into the deliciously messy moments today. Check socials for details. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are the umpires. And we are looking at the batsman in the wicket, or the batsmen that are in the wicket, and they are the Minister of Labour today and the Minister of Trade.
On the bowling end, he's on
the bowling end.
Yeah.
And from time to time, he will be
facing a bowler too.
He will be facing a bowler too, and he's really responsible for economic diversification and industrial development, export promotion and trade, expansion, things like that, trade agreements and market access, you know, all those kind of things, investment promotion and business facilitation, support in innovation and digitization and that kind of thing. So, how do you see that as facilitating the responsibilities of batting together in synergy with the Minister of Labour?
Well, that one is easy, you know, because you don't have a worker without work to do. Somebody had to create that environment for the worker to exist.
Let's take a caller.
Yes,
Seen a call here, and today, this is your hour.
Excellent.
So, good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Press it. Probably he's lost the call.
Hello? No, the call is on. Good afternoon, caller.
All right, let him call back there.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, yes. Correct. Yes, yes. Yeah. India, 1970s. Thanks for that.
Appreciate. Thanks.
Appreciate. So we were talking about. Yeah. We were talking about the batsman who is facing
on the bowling side.
Who's on the bowling side.
On the bowling side.
And one of the things we talk about is economic diversification and industrial development.
Yeah.
We have been oil and gas to Trinidad and Tobago is like cocaine, but the cocaine on and out.
Yeah.
And this government, if you want or this team, I should say, if we want to move to the next level, certainly we will have to consider this next batsman as the person who will drive the economic diversification as part of the strategy to be able to do that.
Yep. To a large extent, yes. One thing I want to say before the Labour batsman, I saw the captain put on, although he have on his pads and
let's take this caller. I've seen a caller. I want to get in for some time. Hello, good afternoon. I'm not getting. I don't know what's happening with
this caller.
Is her headset or something?
Hello? Yes, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I see the Reds come back with the love Labour now. For the last 9 years, they didn't love Labour. So the team showing love for the Labour movements now. We know Red jump out. Just so and say.
Reds won back her love. She won back her love.
Feeling lonely.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you, caller. Let's take this
caller.
next call. Good afternoon, caller. Hello? Good afternoon, caller. I think the technical team should probably check this now because it has something to do with.
Yeah, because we're not getting in.
Good afternoon, caller. Something with a headphone. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Call them now.
You know, one question I have for the no opposition. How is it for the asking the government if they have a means test for the laptop, but you all didn't see it fit to ask Dr. Rowley about having a means test for this incredible raise that was proposed by the SRC?
Good point. Good point.
Yes, so it has good look and accepted it. and that is in the face of a narrative coming from so many ministers who are advising you to cut back on macaroni pie, don't carry your family to the movies every week. You understand? All different kind of nonsense, old pot riding to work. All a long, lengthy thing by speech by Mr. M. why we cannot get more than what they offer them. No, at not one point in time they look at some food that they enjoy and try to cut back on it. But you asking about a means test? How hypocritical can you be? How hypocritical? But the nice thing about it is they would not be able to convince a number of persons with that rubbish that they're coming with now. They will remain where they are if that is how they want to continue, because apparently it's all about PNM trying to get back into government. It's not about what is best for Trinidad and Tobago. I really, it is difficult to listen to some of these adults in Parliament, you know. It's really difficult.
Yeah,
and as it relates to this industries thing, we have one constituencies. These MPs need to get to work. Find out where is a place in your constituency for the government to probably erect some massive structure for the industry there. We could have some tire shops and all kind of thing using recycled plastic, all these scrap metal, and get some rubber in the country or something.
Right. So it's interesting you say recycling. It's interesting you say recycling. It is interesting that you say recycling because people need to really think about out of the box as to how you could create industries that would support the challenges that we have, and also industries that yes.
Employment in every area, so people don't really have to run to go import and spend every morning between the same hours. They need to start a operate a shift system
Correct.
in some of these ministries. Even if
Correct.
you open the public 24/7, they could have staff there.
And we spoke about that yesterday too. I mean, who's to say? Correct. This caller on point.
Yeah. Yep.
This caller on
Excellent
point. This caller on point
contribution,
because
yeah.
how do we? Who says work has to be 8 to 4 in government?
Yep.
Why we can't get service wrong the clock? You know, So if you stagger the hours, some people work online, some people work offline, some people work, you know, different things. And I'm saying the industrial relations workspace is changing, and we have to
evolve.
That,
we have to
know,
evolve. We have to evolve.
We have to evolve.
We have to evolve. We have to evolve.
Implementing proper ideas will address so many issues that will ease up on some of the traffic that we're experiencing.
Exactly.
In a number of things will just fall in line once you begin to address the things in a proper way. As Mr. said, once they let us get down to the issues in a micro way and build up on them going forward. I love to listen, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Next caller.
Yeah, good.
Good afternoon, caller. Correct. And all.
The guy, you didn't see him? You're sleeping on. Yeah, the call there, saying us. Oh, yeah. He was going to sleep, you know. Only for boy.
Well, that is something we kind of like advocate here among this team, this team of empires, and we are still waiting to see, because to me the places that are right for those kind of investment is the emerging economies like Africa and probably India to a large extent, China, that kind of thing. I think we should probably have a large presence around.
I think yesterday I heard you spoke about the African Exim Bank and the fact that they were going to be meeting in Jamaica. And I think that you said you recommend or you suggested that the trade minister or the minister of finance or whatnot become involved in that discussion and whatnot. So I think that is important, but I'm saying that the generation of employment, because you're talking about foreign exchange, if you don't have foreign exchange, you can't buy, you can't import raw material, you can't import medication, jobs, food. 85% of your imports, you have. So the fact is, you're in dire need of investment, and you're not. And I'm saying that you must position this country in order to secure or to benefit from foreign direct investment.
Correct, and that is why this batsman in the wicket is so important to the whole cycle of the dynamics of trade and investment and labor and turning around the economy in a certain kind of way, because
and we speak about diversification also. You have the cocoa. I hear cocoa and coffee fetching very high prices in the international market.
Yes, it is.
Because in Ghana and those countries, Cote d'Ivoire and all these countries, you have diseases affecting and not only that, the climate change affecting the production of those products.
Correct.
So I'm saying we ought to get into those areas, but I'm saying the task ahead is very difficult.
Yeah,
and
because we have a lot of fallen industries that need a lot, may need a lot of investment for revitalization, but also we had to make some capital investment to bring about some new kind of new kind of industries. As a caller before talk about recycling. That's something that, I mean, our next caller talk about how high the landfill was becoming. It was high like the Twin Towers yesterday. Now, all those things are things that we could think about and consider.
Yes, there's a lot of work to be done. And what I'm saying, we cannot factor out of the equation that Europe again, let's say England and Europe, you look at America, they are tightening up with respect to immigration. So it's going to be a question of people migrating, and you have a growing unemployment in the country, right? And therefore, in the past, you had people migrating to England. They went into nursing and they went into other things in England. It was quite easy, and the United States, but they can't go anywhere. So I'm saying that there's an urgency in terms of generating employment and boosting the economy.
Yes.
There's an urgency because they can't, and you can't, nobody factor that into it. Look, before people could go to America, everybody going there, whether they were documented or undocumented, and you had what they call remittance being sent back down to Trinidad and whatnot to help families and whatnot. That is no longer the case because you can't go to America.
Yeah.
You can't go to England. Those countries have tightened up their borders.
No, in reality, that may present a certain kind of opportunities for us in this country now that we may need, but we will have to get the batsmen or the politicians involved thinking, right, outside the box as to how we could create those kind of industries to facilitate those persons who will employment. So we are a small country. You have places like Africa and India and these places talking about needing more people probably in the next 10 years or so with the kind of development, the rate of development that things are taking place. We are a small country. I don't even think we have enough people. We should be 100% employment. We should have a 100% employment. But I hear you, caller, and
I just want to say one thing before I leave. I think you spoke about the teachers' union. I remember St. Elmo Gopal. He was once, I think, a general secretary of the PNN. He was in charge of the teachers' union. You have people like Garcia and all that. So this question about being apolitical, I don't know whether unions still operate with the principle of democracy. If I want to know if the teachers, as a matter of fact, have given him the mandate to express that notion or that view that they are no longer political and that they're apolitical. I don't know. If that is the mandate he got from the broader teacher membership.
Well, caller, you're quite correct because you really there trace the history, and the history tells you that there has always been a relationship, and we make excuses for partisan and any relationship. It wouldn't have a straight line. We agree it wouldn't be a straight line, but there's always been a relationship. You should always have a say. And to have a say, you must have a relationship. So to claim that you're apolitical, I don't even know what that means, because you are employees of the state. And any policy and action taken by the state will affect your members.
And you're representing workers of the state.
And you represent workers.
Unions should be a bit happy to be part of, and because, as you rightly said, the question you're able to influence policy, and more particularly when you're a member of the cabinet.
Correct.
That is where the policy decisions are made. This is where the resources are allocated.
So it's foolhardy to suggest, to tell everyone out there that you are not part of anything and you are staying out. How could you stay out? How could you stay out in the the allocation of scarce resources and power?
That plays a lot.
That is where you want to be. That is where the Chamber of Commerce and those people, they want people inside the cabinet.
Of course.
Influence. Why you as Labour, you don't want people there to influence?
Everybody trying to run, them trying to run out.
So when I heard that from that leader in his little caucus, down at Faizabad, in his little group, little under the tree talk, I said, how crazy is that notion on Labour Day, in a labour movement, in a joint trade union? You hear the name? JTUM. You're supposed to be part of the joint trade union movement, but maybe he had a conscience issue because he was first to grab the apple. he had a conscience issue.
Well, he has that problem. I cited it with respect to the negotiation, the 4%, when he accepted it. And it was concretized about 2 days before the general election when he signed an agreement of 5% or 4%.
Hastily.
So it's quite clear. So this kind of trying to dance all around the place, the fact remains is that he has taken aside.
Yeah, I don't know what is our issue in the Caribbean or what's that in Trinidad in being very straight about where we stand on policy matters. If the PNM has something that makes sense, I'm part of it. If the UNC has something that makes sense, I'm part of it. To say that you don't like politics, I stay out at that, that's not for me, that like religion. It's quite barbaric. That's crazy.
Not understanding politics is the means by which
everything evolves.
Correct.
Everything evolves.
So you should want to be involved. You should want to be included, and your decision should be made based on facts and research and all the other things. But to say that you're not
the mere fact that you trade union, you are engaged in politics, you know?
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done, caller. Well said.
Exactly.
The fact that you trade union, you're involved in politics. So I don't understand that. So when he says apolitical, he doesn't understand the role of trade unions and trade unions in the mix in the context of the national politics, because that is what it's the question you talk about. I think one of your panelists said the fact remains politics is about power.
Correct.
Politics is about allocation of resources. Who gets what? Who gets what?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So politics determine that, and politics determine whether, because he got 5% because the last government gave him 4% because they gave him that. The politician determined that.
Correct.
And then you had public officers who suffered drastically because the last finance minister, people who had retired from the public service, policemen and prison officers and even public officers, they were waiting on and the minister of finance said, no negotiation, you know.
Yes.
He said $4,000 for them. So the politician who tells, and most of them but they never say anything, but they bite in their tongue, they want the money now. They want a benefit from the 10% now.
Yes, and
right?
And might I add, it is your lack of understanding of politics and collective agreement that would make you sign a collective agreement on the eve of a general election. You should understand politics. If you would understand industrial relations and politics, that is as equal to sin as you can get, because that made no sense politically or even in terms of collective bargaining.
Thank you.
Thanks again,
okay,
caller.
thanks, caller.
Excellent.
Yeah, guys?
Yeah, more callers?
You want it? No.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take our next call. This is
this is the caller's time, yeah.
Oh, that caller went.
Your next caller?
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Well, President Trinidad and Tobago, you know.
Right.
Welcome.
Right. Yes, welcome, and good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, the topic nice. I ain't so sure how I'm going to fit in it yet, because all you don't know, he's not no politician, he ain't great in politics, but he have common sense like dirt. Right. I know all you know that already. So, here how I'm going to take it. Well, all you say, all you have two kind of people, labor, and the next one in the wicket is who?
Trade.
Yeah, trade. All right. So that's two ministries. All right. Now, first to begin, I want to say, I find, you see the opposite and the executives of government now where you have war in parliaments. That is a no-no now to politics. Because as long as you have opposition to some sort of cause, we having problem, don't care what part of the world. Once you have an opposition opposing any kind of opposing thing in a real kind of way without a third party, without a referee, without an umpire, then it will have bacchanal in the game. It will always have bacchanal in the game. Right. Now, ministries is where now that the pavilion, the pavilion has to know what's going on in ministries. How would they get to know? By being part of the ministries. Now, last night, coming up to the last part of the show, a lady called in and she asked about state and government. Now, that's a part to look at very serious. I hear one of somebody that say that state concern the PS, the what do you call that in the PS?
The public servant and the permanent secretaries and the
permanent secretary is the one I want to bring out my mouth. Because in truth, and where I get to learn something here is that they don't really move from the ministry. So basically, whether party change anyhow, them just stay there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. Now, since them staying there, any one of the parties could still use them to do what they want to do without the pavilion knowing what's going on. And if the pavilion keep knowing, not knowing what's going on for the next 20 years, the pavilion still staying daughters in the system. Now, if you have 12 ministries, then it's supposed to have 12 persons in the parliament from the pavilion that linking with the pavilion and the ministries. Now, the rest of the representatives inside of there who make up the parliament, they will be there because you can't get away from them because we already know that we have opposition and executives in government which they will stay. But out of the whole amount that's supposed to be parliament, it will have 12 out of them. That 12 going to be of the people. Of the people who are watching the match. Some the words could come out right here.
You're speaking metaphorically, right? The 12 represent the 41.
The 12 is only part of the 41.
Oh, you're talking about the 12 of the opposition here? Right, okay, good. Got you.
Right, that the 12, that every time I talk about 12, I'm talking about 12 out of the pavilion.
Right.
It's come back to me. So which means what we're saying is that although 41 going on into the parliament, here how the 12 come in, it come like independence, but really they are independent out of an organization of the people, out of the same pavilion. Now, remember, the pavilion is the electorate and them voting all 41. So which means the pavilion have to separately put up 12, just as how I said the independent, aside from what these governments will pick, or how they just call it, select for them. So which means to deal with the ministries, the pavilion will always be knowing what's going on and knowing and everything. They will be able to guide the rest of the 41 that is the parliament. Now, if we don't do this, I'm telling you, what I am seeing in the system of what we live in as politics is because we are slaves. We are supposed to be slaves according to the system. And we're not going to move there until we form a construct of ourselves as the slaves to deal with the matter of our survival, because as long as we don't do that, the people who intend to make us slaves will keep the rule. They will keep the governance. They will hold the politics of ignorance over the slave. So if the pavilion do not wake up, now all is good that they're trying what they're trying now. But it still stays the same way. And I'm telling you, as much as I say that PNM gone, I'm watching hard to see what UNC doing, because They are of this a side of the same coin, the same ideology of the politics that all of us
lovely
want to continue
contribution,
going
caller.
with.
Let's take another caller. This is a very good contribution, and we'll discuss that going forward.
Excellent.
All right, I know the time short, so I could understand already, and I put out it, and I sure I know I put out something good.
Right. Good afternoon,
Right.
caller.
I know the time short.
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you guys very much for that one. You know, I'll look at the Prime Minister's speech. The opening part of the speech, very short, said to them, she's going to say, I think you all said it, set up a committee to look at the refinery to see where we are. I sound like jobs to the boys. Because this committee has to get engineers, people of technical know-how to go and tap the pipe, to see if the pipe good, to see if it needs changing. So that could take because that refinery has been shut down how long? 7 years?
8 years.
So the infrastructure could be, besides the refinery itself, the thing to take the oil, the crude, or the gas from here to there, to that tank field, to that tank field, we can have problems with that, right? So it could take another year or two for these group of people. That means you have to employ a whole heap of people to go now to check the structure of this refinery. Then you have to get a group of people to change what is wrong. Then you have to get the inspectors from the international bodies to say yes.
Well, I didn't get the impression that that is where she was going. You know. I mean, I think the position, what she was saying, and this maybe you all could correct me, umpires. You could correct me if you think I'm wrong. The position what I feel is happening is that a decision has already been made to revitalize the system.
Right.
The strategies will be how to do it. So maybe she is taking an internal committee from among Labour and among other
Right, I'm not disputing that.
Not necessarily a paid committee or so.
Well, if you bring me on a board from Labour, you have to pay me.
Well,
nobody do nothing for that for free.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that is so.
Well, unless the union had to tell me that. But from what I just outlined, these are the things that has to take place if her intention is to start back the refinery. Matters not what body she gathered, how they gather it. This is how the thing has to go. You have to get somebody to check the integrity, and then whatever has to be replaced, and then you have to get an international body to come and check the refinery to make sure the things that you replace meet the international standard, and then get the thing started. Election could done by that time. And that could cost we, taxpayers, a ton load of money, and a government that coming into office has to inherit it and continue or shut down. But then where we get any money from? Because I hear all the talk just now about diversification, and I mentioned to you guys yesterday about the height of the landfill. In Trinidad and Tobago, I have seen a man with a garbage truck company, Vancouver, had the biggest piece of land you could think about. The post, the mail he started to drive out with a golf cart to collect the mail from the post and drive back in. You don't think, after all these, well, he died now, but the business still going. And here we get our business, when WASA get an auction, and we just ask why we can't do something for we sell. When WASA have an auction on trucks, he go and buy. He fix the same truck and went back the same truck to the government to pick up slush on the side of the road. And when he died, you couldn't uncheck his money. Right? So, ask yourself, all these years, these fellas acquired all this wealth from the state. And none of them could think about investing their money now to create a recycling company and upgrade, instead of just paying a man $150 and picking up Tom, Dick, and Harry on the side road. If you look at, you might pay an IS for one, and you ain't paying for one because you're picking up one who come in for a walk every day, and you have one permanently employed. You understand that logic, right?
Yeah.
That's what is going in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is just simply with garbage collection. Not the garbage company who makes all these money for all these years He ain't coming into the state and say, give me a piece of land, and I will, the garbage that I collect, I could carry by me, and I will separate the waste, and I will create employment, and you give me a tax break. But we would wait on the state. We try that since I going up by a dam, chase Charlie away. And just recently, we had a big auction and sell out a tonload of Mercedes-Benz truck, and if you look up, them same truck going back to work in the same place. Gentlemen, enjoy it. Yeah. We have much more, but enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, all those are things, critical reviews that we had to look at.
Yeah. You know, I wondered, I wonder, Nicola Sella?
Yeah, he's gone.
You know, I wonder, you say something that was straight far from the point and so forth. The scrap dealers were having a challenge with the previous team and so forth. And when you pass by some of these scrap yards, you see pile and pile of metal pack up and so forth.
Let's take this next call.
Yeah, we're taking callers. Yeah,
Good afternoon, caller.
Hey, how are you going, friends?
Excellent.
I listened to the... Well, let me say this first. That gentleman who made that arrangement, who settled that agreement days before the election with that union, it's a simple thing.
Which one?
He don't trust the system and he don't trust them fellas.
Oh, tutor.
I all you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He don't trust them and he don't trust the system. He play for what he see. Okay?
Well,
and that was just that.
Well, yeah, that's some. I mean, 4 was difficult to get. It's 5 you got? Yeah? But 4 was difficult to be given. I mean, and
you get 5.
If I get 5, but I take it. I don't know why I will get on the road.
This is the point. He gets 5.
I don't even know. I don't know the team. What telling me I'm going to get 10 or win. So I take it if I know.
So here now, hear me, right? So he run with that. He tell them for us technically without saying anything. I don't have no time at all. I don't trust all you, and I take in what I see from in front. All right. Now with the petition issue, you see that place? I heard the lady yesterday spoke, and she spoke all right about putting a committee to. That refinery need a serious piece of money.
Yeah. I mean, nobody could deny that.
Listen.
Just to revitalize that. Just to bring that back up. And then you have some debts on it.
You hear the point she made? She said, we don't know what's going on inside there. You know? You hear when she said that? She said, we don't know. In other words, we don't know the state of that entity. And
we don't know if half I go on a scrap iron either.
No, you don't go down that road. Forget that part. Don't go there. Don't shift the conversation. I'm saying to get that back on track for we to see fire and things from where I live in here. Because the city fire is a serious piece of money.
Yeah.
Right? Plus, nothing can change here, you know. We still have to import oil we still have to import a portion of oil. Let me put it nicely. To run that place. So, listen, we between a rock and a hard place where that is concerned. And it is only fair to give this government a chance to implement the policy. All right?
It is only fair.
Correct. It's only fair.
100%, yeah.
And I mean, let me be real. They knew that this place was in a mess long before they reached it. They know that.
This is why the player on the other side, I think, should extend that kind of courtesy to this new administration.
Who play on the next side?
The
new captain
on the next side.
No. The new captain on the next side, she neither here nor there. That had to be extended to them. So she's a non-entity in this business here. You know?
Oh my God.
No. I talking. I could talk.
Yeah.
We talking cricket. I been realize actually that hand up there. You know, we have to give these people a chance to see where they're going, because so far. Next weekend is the 20th, that will be 2 months. Nobody can tell me yet where the revenue stream coming from.
So, caller, let me ask you, you're in a relationship with the yellow now, but red's winking on the boundary. Red's sending your sweet eye.
Hello. I'm not dealing with no red and yellow friend. I'm dealing with reality. Red and who? No.
Well, caller, Red say she want to make up. Red say she know the relationship was bad and...
No. You want to talk about something else. We ain't talking about that. Not me. Let me deal with Petrol and them. Right? If you want to go down that red road, you go by yourself. Right? I am saying to you to get back that thing rolling down by we here. We are living in the area where we could see steam and things steaming in the night and you see me fire in the night. This is a serious issue here.
It is.
So and what will happen here? We need paper.
Papel.
Yes.
So, caller, are you optimistic still? Are you patiently optimistic, or you?
Boy, anything to benefit
Trinidad
this country?
Yes.
The tired beg me to come and spend holiday all over the place. I doesn't want to go. No, I love here.
Right.
And I want to see, I hoping to see that entity start back to run.
Succeed,
but
okay.
Listen, it is not going to be easy.
Okay.
And she make a serious point where people miss. We don't know what's going on with them all around there, you know.
Correct.
You understand? Plus, I listen to everybody. I just listen half time as a retiree. I listen to the media review. I listen to them talk. They're not telling me where the revenue stream is coming from. They're silent on that. And the people in this country, it's not like long ago, you know. People sitting and they're waiting. Yes, I'm giving you a chance. But at some point in time, you have to start telling me where your revenue stream is coming from.
At some point in time, you had to start to put runs on the board and
Rushman.
And the goodwill running out. The goodwill will run out. So at some point in time.
Well, we have 8 months import cover, which is good.
Right.
You understand?
What next?
I believe we want to give this administration a chance.
Yes.
Right? I still letting them settle in.
Right.
But I'm waiting.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
Because here what happening, we can't borrow here forever, you know. You know that?
Yes.
This is a serious issue here. And people still getting food and the thing. And here what happening? We in a serious situation here, and anything to help all the situation, let us come together.
So caller, let's take another call.
Right.
Thanks for your contribution. The next caller?
Oh, shucks. Yeah, good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon again, gentlemen. Now, as a red man, I'll be frank with you.
Right.
So my views, I'm a Trinbagonian first.
Right.
But then as a citizen here, I have to choose what is best for the country. The person who has the best idea and best vision to carry my country forward, that's why it's called an election. I have a choice to choose that person.
Right.
I could remember, so I'll carry you back way back sometime. Mr. Manning was in office. 2008, world recession, global recession. Bernie Murdoch with the Ponzi scheme, Alan Stanford in Barbados or wherever, Clico, Antigua. Clico, with we fella here, and the government had us to bail out Clico. We ain't see that, you know. The average Trinbagonian didn't feel that. But here what we was hearing, called the heart, and how much money is stolen. And Mr. Manning going mad. Mr. Manning driving the economy. You can't find a carpenter or a mason. And the world was in a recession. 2010. My budget then, my economy was spending 43 billion. I built Napa, Sapa, you name it. Anvil, Greenvale, houses, you name it, with 43 billion. People's Partnership, Mr. Manning is gone. 43 billion. Yeah, what they tell me, Mr. Manning is going to crash the economy. Our debt to GDP is too high. They come. 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. 20 billion more. In 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, my budget moved from 63 billion, from 43 billion to 63 billion. And tell me, Children's Hospital, a fire station in Mayaro, what else? Magnificent Seven still thing, President House was still there, and a man promised to build a tunnel to get me to Maracas to Santa Cruz. Remember that?
Yes. But they build some schools and things, man. They do.
No. Hold on. And you see, that was the argument. They tell me they build 100 schools. They didn't build a secondary school. Those schools was built by the PNM and complete by them. Most of the schools they built was primary schools and early childhood centers. 60-something of that is early childhood centers, and maybe 4 or 5 secondary, and all the rest was what they completed under Mr. Manning. They didn't build 100 schools.
So, Colin, let me engage you. Where are you now? Where do you stand now?
This is what I'm saying. I going back to what the gentleman just told me.
Right.
Because my budget presently now, this past administration had also control a 60-something billion budget and carried all the way down in 10 years back to 50-something. So we had to hold on our spending.
Right.
That is why things work. Because I tell them, a child that was 10 years old under the People's Partnership, when People's Partnership came out of office, I was 10 years old. I inherited an economy that was in a recession. I inherited the first time in some of we adult life, we ever see a pandemic that locked down the country for nearly 2 years. Some of you never experienced that and probably will never experience that in our life. And that is what I went through in my first 10 years. Shut down the economy. That means, and here we're going on, oil and gas, a man was paying me $1 a barrel to take it. So that means the economy ain't generating nothing. So I had to go in and touch my Heritage and Civilization Fund, money to keep me going. So that carry up my deficit somewhat. How is this administration? Because they told me that there is no money, the economy is crashed. So the question is, how are you going to bring investment here to diversify the economy that you've been telling the past administration to diversify? I remember Mr. Manning bring the aluminum smelter plant here, and you don't tell me, they go kill with this. Today I am paying for a current that I couldn't use. I just put it on the grill from the past administration, because I pay for it for nearly 15 years. For electricity that I pay to build to generate an aluminum smelter plant and no smelter plant, and if it looks, I still have to pay people in Japan or China where we made the arrangement with. We still have that.
Yeah, but we should be talking. We know what happened before.
Well, right. So how is this administration, after all that you tell me that I just described it, can't tell me today, because you had 10 years to plan to get in there?
Well, you tell us what you think they should do.
As you in the pavilion, what do you expect?
What I expect, that public servant, if public servant get at 10%, that means my budget is going to go up more than 60-something billion. And you're not telling me yet what are we going to do to generate that economy.
So these empires look at solutions.
Right. So my solution, the next solution,
if you've been listening to us since Tuesday, here we talking solution, things we think that should be done to bring the economy back to where it should be.
And what are those things, sir?
Well, go back and listen to the program.
I just started listening to you guys yesterday.
We talk a lot about a lot of things.
Diversification, but is the state going to take over that level of diversification, or is it the private sector going to take in front to diversify?
Well, foreign direct investment, private sector investment, whatever investment, but we can't depend on the government to do everything. I mean, the government should probably create an enabling environment so that it will allow for foreign direct investment.
So I give them 100 days.
Right.
Just like Trump. I am giving them, because they can't turn it again. So
that's fair, that's fair. 100 days.
That's fair.
I am giving them 100 days.
To start implementing something.
Or to tell you.
To tell you something.
Tell me something.
Okay.
Tell me where you see my feet. Because I had an opportunity. Instead, I have a ton load of cars on the road. I had an opportunity to eliminate cars and buy food and have a more efficient rail transport system. Should have been here by now. And I would not be eating foreign used cars. My money, my foreign used money, my foreign money would not be eaten up by a ton load of cars. Enjoy the evening, Jack.
Correct.
Excellent.
So thank you, caller. Let me just, we just into 1 minute. Let me hear what this caller have to say quick. Good afternoon, caller. Caller, we just have a few seconds. Hello?
Let's wrap up then.
Yes, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
I'm listening on the program. It's a good program. I don't keep the program balance. You know, balance. Not for anybody, but for the right thing and the truth. No, I listen to those two people call. Now, they're giving this government 100 days. Where were they to give that government 9 years? Where were they to question and ask for account from Mr. Rowley and all the ministers? Where were them?
Yes.
That is one. Two is, they cannot say the partnership didn't do anything. Right? Sam didn't go to vote. Right? I did vote Eritrean. I did Robinson. I did Chambers. They didn't do nothing wrong. You understand? But when Manning closed on the Beach High School to run up to go 17.5 miles to Granby, and they had to go 18 miles to Rio Claro and they did build that school. Manning closed on the school and said, "I've led there." I still live in, and I sit down and eat food there, and near dead with the lead.
Nice. So, caller, we enjoy your contribution. The show is about to close. And we are out of time, caller. So
yes, I'm not building police station.
And thank you, Tran Tobago.
Thank you.
On the Street 919 FM.
Campari, Red Passion, embrace the mix.
Campari, Red Passion, full action, this is Red Passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser, drink Campari, Red Passion, make the nicest mix. Campari!
Campari Red Passion, embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink, drink responsibly.
If you really want to see change in this party, over. We are not an ordinary party, but rather we are a rally. Be voting no. For I hope my say. We voting no. For I hope my say. We voting no. On June 22nd, the people's champion, the only real change for the PNM internal election. We voting for. Everybody say, yeah. June 22nd.
Is Big Vibes, Big Crunch with KFC in Siparia this weekend. Siparia, the vibes hot, and KFC bringing the crunch. This Burrow Day weekend at KFC Siparia, get 2 pieces of chicken and 1 side for just $35 June 20th and 21st only. All channels, all flavor, straight from the red, white, and black. Big Vibes, Big Taste, Big Crunch with KFC. It's finger licking good. This long weekend, Pizza Hut's serving up big vibes and even bigger value. Get one large tavern pizza, one large specialty pizza, and single breadsticks, all for just $270. More days, more ways to crave. Let's pizza. Offer is available via all ordering channels from June 19th to 22nd. Pizza Hut. Now that's delivering.
Are you tired of scratching the surface? Do you want to understand the real forces shaping Trinidad and Tobago? From the delicate dance of our energy sector on the global stage, to the geopolitical shadows behind the crime affecting our streets, we dig deeper. The third umpire goes beyond the headlines. We connect the dots between local challenges and the international currents that truly impact your life, your wallet, your security. Join Stephen Matheson, Selvin Mitchell, and Ronaldo Rollux, 3 employment law and human resource management consulting professionals, as they unpack the complexities, analyze the power plays, and reveal the often hidden realities. Understand the game. Understand your role in it. The third umpire, critically analyzing Trinidad and Tobago's economic and political realities on how they affect your daily lives. Tune in Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. on The Street 919 FM. Don't just listen to the news. Understand it.
At Flow, our customers are our people, and our people are our priority. So we're raising the bar and going all out for our customers. To be your partner that's always within reach and to provide you with a network that keeps getting better. Because you are at the heart of everything we do, and everything we do is to ensure that we keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Planning your Tobago getaway? Choose the highest Google-rated car rental company on the island, O'Neill Auto Rentals Tobago. Located just minutes from the A.N.R. Robinson International Airport, at O'Neill, we pride ourselves on being the most tech-savvy car rental company in